ضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله. رضي الله عنه فتح الله عليه شفا ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers, sisters, I welcome you to another episode of Thought Transmission from Hayes Muslim Center, from Angel Muslim Center. These are some of the last moments of Ramadan. The blessed month is going to go away, and we are going to miss this Ramadan. I don't know how many of us going to be around next Ramadan. How many people you know they were here last Ramadan, and this Ramadan they're not with us. So we don't know whether we're going to make it to the next Ramadan or not. So what is the message here? The message here is take maximum advantage right now. Whatever time we have got left with to take the blessing, we must use this time very, very wisely. This afternoon we had a talk from Mufti Abdul Rahman Mughera Sahab, and one thing he mentioned, and we all know this, Ramadan is the month of Qur'an. So we take maximum time out to spend, listen, read, understand, whatever we can do, spend maximum time with the Quran, inshallah. So brother, sister, inshallah, we start our program with the recitation of Quran with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have a very young Hafiz with us. Alhamdulillah, at very young age, he's studying in the school as well. And at the same time, he has become Hafiz as well. And this month he completed his reading of Quran in home. He was leading the Taraweeh with the family, alhamdulillah. And on the blessed night of 27th, he completed the reading of Quran, the whole Quran. So we congratulate him, and we congratulate the parents, mashallah. They have done an amazing job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this young Okasha, bless him with knowledge, health, wealth, and wisdom, and make him imam and make him a great scholar who's going to lead by example and inspire a lot of other youth to become Hafiz. So without any further delay, I would like to invite Okasha Mumtaz to read Quran, inshallah. Okasha, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah. Okasha, just quickly tell me a little bit how old you are.
I'm 16 years old.
You're 16-year-old. And when you started learning the Quran, started learning by heart, when you started learning the Quran?
I started learning when I was 7 years old.
7-year-old. And how long it took you to memorize the Quran? 6, 7 years?
It took 5, 6 years.
Right. And how did you manage? Did you do with your school as well, or you took completely off from school?
For the first 2 years, I went Pakistan,
Mhm.
and I learned Tajweed and done Qaida all over again. And
Okay.
then after that, when I came back to England, I started going to school, and I done Hifz at the same time.
And how do you feel being a Hafiz, mashallah?
I feel, I don't know how to explain. I don't know.
Say something.
It's beyond words.
I feel respected. I feel like,
Do you feel blessed that you have something special?
yes, I do.
Okay, if I ask you to give one message, you're 16-year-old, there may be parents listening here, what message you would like to give with regards, specifically with regards to Quran, that you're a Hafiz, how you feel, and what you see in the youth with regards to the Quran? Do you see a lot of people learning Quran, becoming Hafiz is more satisfying, it's more fulfilling?
Yes, of course it is. It's when someone my age or any age does Hifz, it's like, it's very like, when you can't learn your sabak or when you can't learn it, it's very frustrating. But you have to always keep with it and make dua to Allah, and in the end you feel blessed.
MashaAllah. So what is your plan, inshallah, for the future life?
Inshallah, I'll make dua to Allah that I stick with the Quran
MashaAllah.
and He give me the understanding of the Quran and how to live my life with the Quran.
MashaAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. You know, let me tell you, you are amazing, you're awesome. There are billions of Muslims, and there are few Muslims, they have got the Quran in their life. And Alhamdulillah, you have read the Quran in Taraweeh, you have completed the reading of Quran, you have no idea what a beautiful, amazing job you have done. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, your parents, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you Hafiz and Alim and scholar, and you may inspire and become Hidayah for tens of thousands of millions of people. So Jazakallah khair for joining us today, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. Brothers, sisters, inshallah, we will move on. I'm just going to quickly give you a little update regarding our fundraising. As you all know, alhamdulillah, today we took a challenge with the launch good, and we need maximum people to give £1. Just give £1. And alhamdulillah, if we managed to get about 1,800 to 2,000 people, we're going to get a prize of £10,000. So, you know, your £1 is going to go long way. But how are we going to achieve this? It's not going to achieve by reading a messages and sitting down and saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, or tomorrow. I promise, if you don't count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and do it now, you're not going to do it later on. This is how the human mind works. You must become a person of now. Whatever is in your capacity, whatever you have the control over, you start doing those things right away. I believe each and every single person on this call can afford to give £1. Maybe more than £1, but today we are just asking £1. And what is the second request from our side? From your local community. This request is not from me, not from the trustees. This is a request from your local masjid, inshallah. The second request, brother, sister, just a minute. Okasha, can you mute you? I'm going to mute you now. Okay. The second request is, brother, don't just sit down that you have donated £1. What you got to do? You got to talk to minimum 10 to 20 people. If you talk to 10 to 20 people, and if each one of us, if you have 50, 60 people listening now, YouTube and here, and if each one of you take a responsibility, I'm going to do it now. It's going to take 2 to 3 minutes. And then I'm going to talk to 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, and make sure they donate as well. You got to make sure they donate as well. So we have 500, 600 people donating right now before midnight, and they're very likely, inshallah, we will win the competition. But we're not going to win if everybody is sitting and thinking somebody else is going to do it. How many of you are thinking that somebody else is going to do it for you? No, nobody else is going to do it for you. You got to do it yourself. You got to talk to your friends, family, relative, and ask them to do. And this is how, alhamdulillah, we can achieve our target. I'm just going to look at if I've got a guest speaker with me now. Give me 1 minute, brothers and sisters. Mufti Sab, you are unmuted. I believe you're on the call from the organization called Institute IRTIS. Okay, brother, sister, I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you, inshallah. So we've got today's guest speaker is Mufti Amjad Muhammad Sahib. He's from Bradford. He's got he is mashallah running a Olive Foundation, the organization, doing amazing job. And he is somebody who studied science as well, because why I'm saying this, tomorrow topic is very, very important: evolution, Islamic perspective. And the sheikh we have today, alhamdulillah, he studied science. I believe he's BSc honors in science as well. So he's going to talk to the topic in Islamic perspective. This is a very, very important topic. A lot of parents and a lot of students, they have a question about this. So today you have opportunity, inshallah, to listen to the sheikh and gain some knowledge. Sheikh has delivered the talk all over the UK and other parts of the world. Sheikh is doing an amazing job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him, protect him, and giving more health, knowledge, and wisdom. So without any further delay, I would like to invite Sheikh Mufti Amjad Muhammad Sahib to unmute and start the talk, inshallah.
نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brother Zia, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everybody. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Zia, for having me on. I have approximately 40 minutes, is that correct?
Inshallah, Sheikh. Yes, inshallah.
Okay, and I think I have the facility to share my screen with you. Now, it's a heavy topic, so I will try to kind of water it down as best as possible. But like Brother Zia mentioned, it's a very important topic, because this topic is sometimes what brings about confusion to people in terms of their aqaid, and then it starts to challenge their beliefs. So it's a very powerful tool that's used by some non-Muslims, some scientists, in order to cause doubt in our iman. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and start the presentation. So I'm hoping that you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can see your screen, Sheikh.
Oh, mashallah, that's very good. So let's just make a start to the slideshow. Okay, so I've aptly named it evolution, devolution, or devolution, and the play on words is intentional. So we have what's called evolution. I'm going to talk to you about evolution, but in reality, what I'm arguing is that evolution is actually devolution. Devolution meaning the devolution of power from Allah, and devolution is obviously the satanic aspects of it. Some of my credentials, I think, when Brother Zia was introducing me, he mentioned I have a scientific background. I do have a BSc Honours in Applied Chemistry, and I have about 14 years industry experience as well. And alhamdulillah, I've been studying continuously up until just last year when I completed my MPhil. So what I'm going to do is I like to use words, and I like to bring about some interesting things. So there's a phrase, isn't it? Bob's your uncle. So Bob might be your uncle, but who's your real ancestor? So again, I want to be quite clear right from the word go. The rationale and the argument for evolution is in reality to replace Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll explain to you what I mean by this. First of all, we know that man has a purpose, and a man has a role in society in life. And this is the alternative. And what people want to suggest, especially with evolution, is that there is an alternative to the theistic narrative. There's an alternative to believing in Allah, that we shouldn't believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought Adam and Hawa alayhi salatu wasalam into creation, and then when he brought them into creation, then from them the progeny grew, but rather there's an alternative narrative. In fact, the argument that's being put is science. I want to see if I can move this down here. Okay, science is the new God. Okay, and I do have on our YouTube channel, I have an atheism series, because unfortunately in our communities up and down the country, one thing which is happening is people are losing faith. Young people are questioning their iman, and one of the angles which the reason why they're questioning their iman is the science that they're learning in school, and then the narrative which their parents are giving to them, or the madrasa or maktab is giving, is somewhat contradicting each other, and they're finding it difficult to correlate them. So therefore, this is the only alternative theory available, that they say, no, this is the only way, there is nothing else. So we're going to go through that. But initially, in order for me to be able to speak about evolution from a religious perspective, I need to speak to you about evolution full stop. Now, many of them, I can see some young people there in the back of a car or something. Many of the young people will know that the individual behind it was someone called Charles Darwin in the 19th century, a naturalist, an amateur geologist and biologist. Now, there was thoughts of evolution before him, but in reality, he brought the thoughts and ideas together and put them together in one kind of piece. It was a book he wrote in 1859 called Evolution by Natural Selection, which was the origin of species by means of natural selection. And what he did was he put this together, but he mentioned, and this is the man himself, he mentioned that there were difficulties, as he called it, of the theory. What were the difficulties which Darwin found? He found the fossil record was very poor. The fossil record did not substantiate his argument. Similarly, complex organs of the living things, it did not suggest randomness, mutation, and also the natural instincts of living beings. The way a fly knows how to duck you when you swing your hand at it, that wasn't taught by father fly or mother fly. That fly instinctively knew how to duck you. Similarly, when a chick comes out of an egg, how does it know to wave its wings in order to fly, or to call on its mother in order to feed? So there's certain behaviors within the creation of Allah which are instinctive. Again, Darwin could not answer that. But the reason why Darwin's theory took hold, because at that time the church had already gone through some great difficult times after the Renaissance, where free thinking was being given rein. So this was ideal to eventually bury the church. In other words, bury God. In other words, remove religion from Europe. This was ideal. It gave an explanation for how humans came onto the earth. It gave an explanation of how we arrived and what we should be doing. And it was an argument and a narrative against the Bible. Obviously, at that time in Europe, there was not much Islam. So the organized religion, established religion, was within the Christian faith. We then have, there's been some development since Darwin. Don't forget that was 19th century, and science moves on. Science doesn't wait for any man. There's always research going on and things getting done. So we found, for example, in the laws of genetics, which were in the early 20th century, that caused problems to the Darwin's theory. It didn't match up. Similarly, for Darwin's theory to work, it said random mutations had to take place. But how many mutations do we see that are advantageous? whenever, God forbid, and we don't want to wish that on anybody, but whenever there's a genetic problem with a fetus in the womb and that child is born, then we never find that that mutation is something positive. It is always something negative. So how can random mutations make something as complicated as the eye? Or how can random mutations make something as complicated as a bird flying in the sky? It does not make sense. The bird should have legs sticking out of its head or wings sticking out of its back or from the rear. Why is it that a bird is perfectly made every time, and whenever a bird is mutated, it never survives? It dies after, as soon as the egg hatches. So you see that there are no advantageous mutations which have to exist for Darwin's theory to exist. Similarly, there's no transitional forms. What we mean by transitional forms, the argument that was held by evolutionists was that creatures are continuously going through change. So the argument that's held about humans is humans originally came from an ape-like creature. Then this ape-like creature became more civilized and whatever until eventually Homo sapiens came about and humans came about. However, we don't see any transition, whether it's horses, whether it's sheep, whether it's birds, whether it's fish in the sea. There is no transition. There is one type of fish and then suddenly another type of fish arrives. So this is what's called punctuated equilibrium, or in other words, there are jumps. Okay, so there's no nice smooth curve. And also this theory has to work. Whenever you ask somebody, a scientist, and you say, why accept the theory of evolution? They say, what's the alternative? That's what they'll shrug their shoulders. What's the alternative? We have to believe in the theory. And if the theory is not working, then there's something wrong with our understanding, not the theory. So as we call it, this is an a priori philosophical position, which means that evolution theory is real. We just have to prove it's real. And that's dangerous for a scientist. So we need to now look at what is the theory based on. So the first thing is what I just told you about common descent. That, for example, gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees, all creatures like that, and humans, all came from one common descendant, and we all descended separately from him. For example, the buffalo and the buzzard, which is a bird, also are claimed to have the same common descendant, a common ancestor, which they developed from. And they look at all these similarities. Why? They look at something which they find in the buffalo. They look at something which they find in the buzzard. So they say, that proves, okay, that proves that the buffalo and the buzzard both came from a common ancestor. And that makes no sense. So it's a similar way that a chimpanzee could be argued is the nearest creature which looks like a human. So it's then argued that the chimpanzee and the human must have had a common ancestor. Why? Because they look similar. They move similar-ish. Their face is similar, or it's more similar than comparing it to, say, a dolphin or comparing it to another creature. Well, the question then comes is, how did the ancestor get there? Again, there's no answer to that. And why do descendants differ? Why did we differ than the chimpanzee if we had the common ancestor? Why did we differ than the orangutan if we had the common ancestor? Why did we go one way and the orangutan go another way? Why didn't the orangutan also develop skills to use tools? Why didn't the orangutan also have the ability to speak like we do? Why did we all develop separately? So, for example, rabbits and bears both have fur. So we assume then that they must have had a common ancestor who also had fur. But the question then comes is, how did the ancestor get there? And why did some creatures to become rabbits, and why did some creatures become bears? Why didn't they all become rabbits? Or why didn't they all become bears? There's no answers to these questions from the evolution theory. And how did this happen? The next one is something called natural selection. Natural selection means that the fitter of the creatures will survive, or survival of the fittest. So the stronger the creature is that's born, the fitter that it is, it will outlive all its peers because it's survival of the fittest. That's how it works. So if the total population remains the same, then the fitter, faster, stronger in this case, will do better in nature than the less fit. The less fit, which is the slower and the weaker ones, will die. Question then comes is, how do some become fitter than the others if they are all in the same environment? If they're all eating the same food, if they're all in the same environment, why is it some creatures become so much fitter than others that they kill them out? And in fact, if you look at, say, lions and tigers, then some tigers are fitter than other tigers. That does not mean that that fit tiger becomes something else, or that fit lion, stronger lion, becomes something else. And then the other aspect of the theory of evolution is that there has to be chance mutation, that this happens by chance, that by chance a creature, like say, for example, a creature that walks on the ground, one by chance, another one is born and it has wings on its back. And then it learns how to fly. And then when it has offspring, then a new species is formed because that species now has wings on its back. This is all about chance mutation. Well, as I've demonstrated, and every mutation must be positive, every mutation must be progressive, meaning the next creature can't go back to having no wings. It's got to keep going on in that one direction. And it's making the creature faster and stronger every time. Then the natural selection means its offspring, which are more numerous than the non-mutated, slower, weaker version. And that's the argument which is put forward. So, but that doesn't make sense either. For example, let's take the zebra as a creature. So you have a zebra herd, a herd of zebra, and these are all wild animals, okay? Now the fastest zebra will live. So a lion comes along. A lion comes along with its pack, and it's now going to attack this bunch of zebra, this herd of zebra. So the lions go into attack. Now, obviously, the slowest zebra is going to get caught. That's obvious. And the slowest zebra is going to get eaten. But that when the other zebra who are faster, they will have offspring, but they will also be zebra. You won't see it, or zebra, some people say, you won't see the zebra change to another creature. It will still be a zebra. It doesn't change. So, but what about random mutations? Let's explore that a little bit. Okay. A mutation means a break or a replacement in the DNA molecule. It has to take place within the DNA of a creature. And how does that occur? This is caused by radiation or by a chemical reaction. That's how you get a change in the DNA. Mutations in the most cases are neutral, minor. We have minor mutations when we are born. Some of us have mutations within our DNA, but it's minor mutation which has no impact on us. It might change us slightly, but it does not mean that we will die, or it does not mean that we grow extra arms. But other mutations we find are harmful. There are no mutations that have been proven to be good for us. Every mutation is harmful. Whenever a child is born that has problems in their, they are mutated in their DNA, then they are ill. Either they can't breathe properly, they can't look after themselves, or something. There is never a mutation in the DNA which makes the human stronger or makes the human better. And mutations have to be proven to be beneficial for the evolution theory to be valid. If they are not proven to be beneficial, the evolution theory does not exist. So let's look at mutations being helpful. Are they really? The argument which is given, and I've listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things there, in which evolution scientists claim that this proves that these are mutating and becoming better. They say, for example, that we're now starting to see antibiotic resistance in some bacteria. So when you used to take antibiotics, they would always work. Now, when you take antibiotics, the bacteria is not affected. That's why your doctor will always tell you, don't take antibiotics all the time for everything, because eventually you'll become immune to it and the antibiotics won't have an impact on you. Bacteria that can eat nylon. Before, there was nothing that could eat nylon. Why? Because nylon is man-made. Now there is bacteria that can eat nylon. That means that bacteria has got better. It's got more stronger. It's mutated. And many others: sickle cell resistance to malaria, lactose tolerance, resistance to atherosclerosis, immunity to HIV, locust tolerance to pesticides. However, this is a misnomer. This is misinformation. Why? Because this is about building resistance and tolerance, not about mutation. So, for example, if you lived in a cold country, whenever people come, let's just say here in Bradford, it gets cold a lot. I think people in London, mashallah, are nice and warm. But in Bradford, it always gets cold. So whenever people come from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh to Bradford, they'll always be going, oh, it's really cold, it's really cold. And we'll be saying, it's not cold, this is okay. Now, what's the difference? Does that mean we've mutated? Of course we haven't mutated. We have now a tolerance. We can tolerate cold temperature. Similarly, if we went to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh in the middle of summer, and when we go in the middle of summer and it's so hot, and the other people are just walking around like it's normal, that does not mean that they've mutated. It's just that they themselves also now tolerate that. So this actual is not a mutation, but it's actual a toleration. We can tolerate in these environments. We've seen that mutations are harmful in all cases. Sadly, in Hiroshima, in Nagasaki, and in the Chernobyl, where we saw radiation, in the first two cases, a radiation bomb dropped by the USA, and in the case of Chernobyl, where there was a meltdown. Did we see any superhumans come out? Did we see any men who could fly? Did we see any men that could walk up the sides of the building? Did we see any men who could lift heavy things? All the men died. That shows no mutation was good. All mutation was bad. Otherwise, if mutation was good, we would have produced a superhuman. We would have produced an X-Man. He would be able to do special things, but we didn't. Also, there was some research carried out on fruit flies. And when the research which was carried out on fruit flies, thousands of experiments were done. There was no new species or enzyme that was made. In fact, they made flies with legs coming out of their head. They made flies with eyes on their back. They made flies with 10 legs instead of 6. They made flies with 4 wings instead of 2. They made all sorts of changes. What happened? The fly died. Okay, it died. Not only did it die, it was sterile. It could not have any further children. So whatever happened to that fly stayed with the fly, and it died with the fly. Similarly, it does not add any new information to the organism's DNA. And also, mutation has to take place in the reproductive cells to pass on to the next generation. Similarly, we have another example, and I'm conscious of time, but I'll sort of jump ahead really now, just to make a conclusion. Okay, so conclusion is what is tolerance is being argued is mutation. Similarly, the changes we see are just the normal distribution amongst the population. And those creatures which survive are subspecies. The fossil record we know, he said, this is what Darwin said, if my theory is true, numberless intermediate varieties linking most closely all of the species of the same group together must assuredly have existed. None of them have been found. Why, if species have descended from other species by fine gradations, do we not find everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? We do not see anything halfway through. No transitional forms have been discovered. Furthermore, not gradual evolution, but instead we see the sudden explosion of one group at the expense of another, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates another group and replaces a creature that you already had. And again, we have other scientists saying the same thing. Water to land. And I apologize for going slightly quickly through this, but I'm conscious of time, and inshallah ta'ala, maybe there's another time where we can go through this much slower. An argument is made that creatures were all in the water first, and then they made it to their land. How could a creature go from water to land in one go? There are so many things that would have to change all at the same time, and it's impossible for it to change all at the same time. For example, breathing, it would have to change the way it breathes. Water, skin mutation, its skin would have to change, because of something living in water is a very different creature than something which is living on land. Body temperature, food would have to change, because a creature that eats what it eats in the water is very different to what a creature eats on land. So you're seeing all these changes would have to take place at the same time for this creature to live on land. How can we say that even when we haven't seen any positive mutations? All have to be progressive, not regressive. Mutations have to take place in the reproductive cells. It has to meet another creature that's also gone through the exact mutations. And all this has to take place at the same time. Similarly, why is it that it's always going to be progressive? Why doesn't it go regress once or twice? And if this is a progression, if this is evolution, that animals are coming out of the water to go into land, then why is it that we have there should be no sea animals left now, if that was the case? And I'm sort of jumping ahead because we've now got to 20 past and I've got about 20 minutes. Let's look at the eye. Look at the remarkable way the eye is on the human body, for example. Look where his position is. If the eye was anywhere else on the face or the body, it would not work. It would have to be here, protected by the eyebrow, protected by the cheekbone. The reason why your eye is in a socket is because you have both an eyebrow and you have a cheekbone. So whenever someone gets hit, your eye does not get hit. Behind the eye, there's a cushion of fat, okay, so it protects the eye. So even if you were to get hit in the eye, you would not squash your eye. The eye is directly linked to the brain, and it's the most appropriate place so that I can see around myself. You're telling me all this came by chance? The eyelid that we find is there for protection and moisture retention. If the eye came about on its own without the eyelid, our eye would dry out. If the eyelid came about first without an eye, there would be no need for the eyelid. The eyelid and the eye had to come together at the same time. It's an early warning system, because when someone swings their arm near you, the first thing you do is blink. So what that teaches you is that there's harm coming towards you. And tears are the perfect eye lotion. The scientists cannot make an eye lotion as perfect as tears. 98.2% water, urea, glucose, salts, organic substances, including lysozyme, which is coated in a thin fatty film. Perfect for cleaning the eye. That's what tears do. And I noticed that there's some chats or questions possibly coming up, but I'm conscious of time, so I will try to address them, but I have quite a number of slides to go through. Eye 2, the muscles built around the eye have to be so good that your eye moves around 100,000 times a day. In a lifetime, that's over 1 billion. How do the muscles and the eyebrow and the cheekbone and the eyelid and the tears all come at the same time for us when we change from being this one creature to another creature? Impossible. Even the probability is so high, mathematicians have made the probability saying it's impossible. The conjunctiva membrane, which is on the eyeball surface, it stops friction, not fiction. The cornea in the eye, which helps when it receives light, the pressure in the eye, I could go on. Okay, I could go on. Your eye is unique. It cannot be duplicated by scientists to this day, etc., etc. Okay. It'd have to be mutation upon mutation. How did the eye know that one mutation is good, so I'm going to keep that, and now I'm going to carry on mutating? The eye cannot think for itself, so how did it know? Why is it that every step was progressive and never one step was regressive? Part 2. So I'm going to get through this, inshallah, in the next 15 minutes, because first of all, from a scientific perspective, I wanted to dismiss evolution theory. I appreciate we've been short of time, so I've had to kind of go through that a lot quicker than I normally would. I now need to establish what the philosophical reason is. Sorry, Zia.
Sheikh, just a minute. But there's somebody messaged me. They have some problem, logging into the Zoom. This talk is live on our YouTube channel as well. So you can go to the YouTube and type Hayes Muslim Center and then click on live streaming, and you can watch the same talk on YouTube. So if anybody's got a problem, they can go online and watch it. Sorry, Sheikh. Jazakallah.
No, not at all. My apologies. I didn't see your hand. I just come onto the chat now just to see if there's any great lecture, very useful to know. Jazakallah. Are the slides available as a PDF after? Can they be circulated? Inshallah, I will liaise with Zia Bhai and sort that out. Please circulate the PDF. Yep. Okay, there you go. So you're on top of it, mashallah. Keep on top of that chat, Zia. I didn't know you were checking here. Sorry, my apologies. So if there's anything that I need to be made aware of, Zia, if you could just please let me know, and then I'll address it. Otherwise, I'm assuming you're handling it. Okay. So I gave you the scientific rationale of why the evolution theory is void. And now I'm going to give you the philosophical reason. Why does evolution have to exist? And this is going to really wake you up when you see this, inshallah. Okay, let's look at the evolution theory again. I think we don't need to go over this, because when I delivered this before, I delivered this in 2 parts over 2 weeks. So I had to refresh the students about what I was talking about. I don't need to refresh it with you, because we've just gone through it in the last 20 minutes. Okay, remember, the evolution theory is there to prove Allah does not exist. That's what it's there for. That's its aim, that we came about by chance. We were not created. Human is no different as a chance mutant than all other creatures. And human has no special role. We should stop thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to do good. We are just like an animal, like a dog, an ape, a monkey, a snake. We are just a creature. Why do we think that Allah talks to us? We have no special role. Now let's see what the Quran says. Does the Quran also say that we have no special role? Does the Quran also say that we have been just created by chance? Does the Quran also say that we are like every other creature? بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم ترى أن الله سخر لكم سخر لكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala subjugated for you, yani insan, ma fil ardi, all that which is in the earth, ma fil ard, everything which is on the earth, wal fulka tajri fil bahri bi amrihi wa yumsiku as-sama an taqa ala al-ard illa bi idhni inna Allah bin nasi la-ra'ufur rahim. That's the first evidence. Another one, alam taraw anna Allah sakhara lakum ma fis samawati ma fil ard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has subjugated for us everything which is in the heavens and earth. وَأَسْبَغَ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَهُ ظَاهِرَةً وَبَاطِنَةً وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. And that's the argument. Many people debate with Allah and debate with the believers that this is how this person was brought about. And more ayats I can give you. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. That clearly shows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically made mankind for a different purpose. He even addresses the angels and he said, I'm going to establish on the earth a khalifa, a vicegerent, somebody who is going to act on my behalf on the dunya, to fight for justice, to fight against injustice, to go for what is halal, to go against for what is haram. That is the role of insan. قالوا, so the malaika say, قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك. How does Allah reply? He says, قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. Why? Because this insan that you look down upon, from this insan the Anbiya are going to come. From this insan the Anbiya are going to come, and the Anbiya are the best of people. And then the ulama, the shuhada, the siddiqeen, the salihin, all them will come from there. More. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. He is that being that created everything on the earth for you. And numerous other ayats as well. هو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء لكم. And he is the one who brings the rains from the skies for you. منه شراب ومنه شجر. So there's water to drink. And more ayats there as well. So we argue adaptation. Habitat, species adapts to its surroundings. Okay. Speciation. The population splits and develops differently, then has become a subspecies. And tolerance and variance. These are the points that we make. Okay, so you see normal distribution amongst the species. For example, if you look at a pigeon, okay, let me just take that slide back. If you look at a pigeon, you'll see one pigeon looks in one way and another pigeon looks slightly different. Not every pigeon will look exactly the same. There are subspecies in pigeons, okay? So we don't say that a pigeon evolved. We just say that they are subspecies. For example, on an island in Hawaii, okay, on an island in Hawaii, there was a creature called honey creepers. And this island, these birds separated on the island. And each lived in different areas. This bird's beak started to change. Why? Because it used to eat insects. This bird's beak became different because it used to eat nectar. And this bird's beak became slightly smaller because it ate seeds. And this one was tiny because it ate fruit. That's what the evolutionists argued. They said, look, proof. We have proof here that the birds are changing due to their habitat. They're changing, they're evolving. They are evolving. But this is nonsense. Why? Because within the creature itself, you have this variation. So on that part of the island where there was only insects, which species within the birds is going to survive? The one with the beak that can eat insects. Whenever you go to an area where there's no insects but fruit, then that portion, that distribution of birds that have a beak that look like this will survive. So it wasn't as if they were changing. It was only those within the distribution of those birds, those were not living and the other ones were dying. So the honey creepers of Hawaii, they were a single species of a finch-like bird. The populations became isolated and the beaks were different. This was the argument that evolutionists used to say, brilliant, we have our proof. This is nothing like that. These birds who could access food lived those, and those that could not access food died. Simple. Okay, there was nothing science about it at all. Some argue nowadays, some kind of modern ulama argue nowadays, that why can't we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used evolution to create? Why can't we say that? Okay, so that it's not natural selection or random mutation, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a common descendant and left the process of evolution. That's suggesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not involved in his creation, that he created it and let it go. And the question comes, why? There is no evidence in the fossil record, no evidence whatsoever we've shown in the last part one, in which it demonstrates that there was a change in the creatures within the fossil record. There's no evidence through reasoning either, which we've demonstrated. Now let's get on to the more tricky subject, evolution of humans. And as soon as we start to talk about this, people start getting scared. Here, let's look at these skulls, okay? So we've got these skulls, and whenever you went to school, this is what the teacher would say to you, that about 2-3 million years ago, this is what the human looked like. And then about 750,000 years ago, this is what the human looked like. And then 100,000, that's what the human looked like. And now 40,000 years ago till now, this is what the human looks like. And they will say this to you, that this is a theory and that's how it happened. They will also say, look, our brains were really small. Our brains got bigger and then bigger. Now we're really intelligent. Okay. Similarly, we look, oh, look, we looked very ape-like. We had a big jawbone. Okay. A protruding eyebrow. Again, big jawbone, protruding eyebrow, big jawbone, protruding eyebrow. And now look, you see, we're more civilized now. Our jaw has shrunk and our brow has also shrunk. And this will be the chain that they draw to suggest to you that this is evolution. This is human evolution. Okay, here's some more images. They'll say, look, this was what humans look like in the centuries, millennia ago, and this is what humans look like now. You got the other one down here. And then we start to see, hold on a second here. There's actually differences in our skulls in humans living today. Here's the skull of an African American. Okay, that's the skull of an African American. Let me just see if I can minimize this. Right, that's the skull of an African American. Notice how it's different from a female Asian. And notice how it's different from a female European. Similarly, look at the male African compared to the male Asian compared to the male European. Someone could argue that the brain of the male European is bigger than the brain of the male Asian, which is bigger than the brain of the male African. What's different in these skulls compared to the skulls we saw before? Let's see some more. Now we have different, so we have Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Capoid, Congoid, Australoid. These are phrases used to describe us. Can you not see that there are also as significant changes in the human skull right now on the planet? Are we now going to say that somebody who is black or of ethnic origin is not as evolved as, say, the white European? Because this is exactly what the white Europeans used, the evolution theory. This is exactly what they used to subjugate black people. They said black and brown people are stupid and backward. That's why they don't wear clothes. And that's why they speak in a language which we can't understand. And the reason is because they have not evolved as much as we have evolved. So because like we can take animals into ownership, we can take blacks, slaves into ownership, and we can educate them. So the evolution theory gave rise to racism as well within Europe. Here again, it looks like this is a skull from millions of years ago, and this is a modern skull. No, it's not. This is actually both. They are both modern skulls. This is somebody who lives in Australia, as in an Aboriginal skull in Australia, and this is a European skull. Massive differences between the two. Look at the heavy brow. Okay, look at the heavy jaw. Look at the smaller cranium size. Okay, so it looks as though white people have evolved more than black people. Now, if we accept the evolution theory, we have to accept all aspects of the evolution theory. We can't just say that's how humans came onto Earth. We must also have to then accept this part as well. We have to take the whole lot. Again, more Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Negro. And remember, these phrases are, and some of the phrases will be very out of touch. I don't mean to offend by these phrases. Some of these phrases are still used, obviously. Some are a little bit out of date, but they were the access. You'll notice now that scientists will not discuss evolution theory in humans anymore. They stay quiet. Why? Because if they truly believe in the evolution theory, they must also believe that white Europeans are superior to blacks. They would have to, because they would put them on an older human scale. Again, Mongoloid, Negroid, Caucasoid, significantly different. You would think that they were different creatures. No, they're not. They are subspecies in the creation of Allah. Again, significantly different. And you won't be able to see the writing here, so I apologize. This is a very old paper that I managed to find. The reason why you only can find very old papers is because this is not discussed anymore. And this is the kind of nasty side to evolution. And it can't be discussed because if you truly believe in evolution theory, you must believe that white people are superior. And guess who came up with the evolution theory? Yep, you've got it, a white person. So look at the skull differences. Skulls are Arctic. This is for people living in the Arctic. This is a Mongol, okay? A European, a Native American, as what they would call a black person, or a Negro as they would refer to him. And you see more as well. Significantly different. It is as though you're looking at a different creatures, that you're not looking at humans. More, and now you can start to see, and I apologize for the thing, but this is from 1856. You can see now how the white European is considered as the most evolved human, and the blacks and the browns are considered as less evolved humans. Have you seen it? There's a picture of an ape. And they're saying the black person is closer to the ape than the white person is. And this is from 1856. You don't see it after in the 20th century, it disappears. Why? Because it's no longer palatable. It's no longer acceptable. But if you believe in the evolution theory, you must have to accept this as well. Again, profile of a Negro, as they call it, and a European, suggesting that he's more like an ape. He's more like an orangutan than he is like a human. So can you see that? This is application of the evolution theory. So if we accept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses evolution to create, we have a big problem. Why do we have a big problem? Well, the reason why we have a big problem is because then Adam alayhi salatu wasalam and Hawa alayhi salatu wasalam, na'udhu billah min zalik, must either have been the common descendant, a non-human, which makes no sense. Na'udhu billah min zalik. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that ahsan al-khalq, He's created them in the best of forms, how could we accept that? Or that they were the start and then other creatures came after. But again, that makes no sense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, I need to bring you back. There you are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida. O mankind, take fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created you from one soul, one being. Wa khalaqa minha, and then from this one being, He created its partner. Yani Hawa alayhi salam. Wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa. And then as a result, He spread out onto the earth many men and many women. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَيْكُمْ رَقِيبًا. Now, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are all humans the same? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالِمِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you with different tongues, yani different languages and different skin color. Now, obviously, the Sahaba that the Quran was originally addressed to weren't biologists. They did not know that people's skulls were different as well. They were obviously looking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying is, I have created you all different. I have created the African race, the black race. I have created the Asian race. I have created the white race. I have created all you races. You are all different. We are all insan. You are all human. One is not less human than the other. This difference is not due to evolution, but rather it is due to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now I'm conscious of time, so I'm gonna have to go through this even quicker. So some humans are not subhuman or partway through evolution. Allah created them like that. What is the aim of the evolutionists? They want to replace Allah. They want to remove Allah from the hearts of the people. They want to remove accountability from the human. Now, why are you worried about? Allah did not create you. You don't have a role. You are just a creature, like every other creature is. Why are you worried for? Do what every other creature does. Also, they want to say there is this life and then death. There is nothing after this. Obviously, if we were to accept the evolutionists, then this has a serious issue with regards to Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam. And by taking this theory, then we are affecting our belief system. In conclusion, and alhamdulillah, on the dot at 8:40 as well, which is I told to finish, evolution is clearly a lie. I hope I've demonstrated that. I appreciate that we've gone through this quickly. As we saw New Atheist Lie, you will find my atheism slide video on my YouTube channel. This is the science behind replacing Allah. Okay, and we finish there, inshallah ta'ala. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Hopefully everybody has arrived and you can still see me now. And that brings the end to my lecture, inshallah ta'ala. Apologies for the speed, everybody. I'm conscious of time and I had to move things quickly. Obviously, you people in London will be breaking your fast at 9 o'clock. Those people in Bradford will be breaking our fast at 9:20. So we'll still have plenty to wait, inshallah, whilst you're eating.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. You mentioned something, you covered this topic in 2 weeks, I believe. This is something you mentioned. And now you covered everything in 40 minutes. I can understand. It's too much to take. But a lot of people, they have questions. So that's why we said, okay, let's choose this topic to get an idea. So inshallah, in coming months, we will invite you again on a Zoom call and we'll ask all the students and teachers and everybody to join. Inshallah, we will have one more detailed session on the topic. But Jazakallah khair for joining. One question I would like to ask Sheikh. You are inspiration to a lot of people. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you more. Having, the education, great educational background and bringing, this Islamic education alongside. How does this work? I know it works. I understand. But a lot of us, we have a question that if somebody is alim, he's just alim. He needs musalla and masjid and he needs to stay there. And if somebody is a science or on an education side, he's just on that side. As a Muslim community, it is a little bit difficult to understand that a person can be alim, mufti, a great scholar, and at the same time a scientist as well. So how would you answer this?
Unfortunately, this has happened recently. If you look at the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, then they were tradesmen, they were businessmen, and they were people of knowledge. So what we've done is we've confined Islam to an establishment like a masjid. We've confined knowledge to a specific person. Knowledge is something for all of us to learn, and wherever our area of field is. Now, some of us may not reach that level of expertise where we can issue fatwa, but we can all reach a certain level of expertise where we can start to influence our working environment. So whether we're a GP, whether we're a teacher, wherever our role is, when we have that Islamic learning, what it does, it gives us a broader understanding. Having that broader understanding means that, unfortunately, even within our own community, when we look at a scholar, we look down upon that scholar that, he's bola bala, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's uneducated, whatever. And what that does, that puts a bit of a disrespect in the hearts of the believers towards Islam. And it shouldn't be the case. What it should be is that even when I speak to my scholar colleagues, I always say, learn something as well. Learn a trade as well. Learn some profession. Why? Because then your influence is better, and also it gives you a broader understanding of the world. To speak about the world, to issue fatwa about the world and not be aware of it is very dangerous. So when you're speaking about something which is a social aspect, then you should have some social science skills. If you're speaking about something which is to do with medicine, then you should have some medicine understanding. If you're speaking about finance, you should have some finance understanding. It's very important. Now, not everybody can do everything, but we can specialize. It's very important as we move forward with our new generations, with some of the young people that are watching, that they should also be inspired towards, not saying that I'll just become a scholar or I'll just become a teacher, but saying I want to learn my deen, I want dunya and akhirah. Why just stick for one?
Jazakallah, Jazakallah khair. May I ask Brother Tahir, who is our trustee, to say a few words, comment, please. Tahir bhai, over to you for 1 minute only, because I've got Ajmal Masroor by joining very soon. Brother Tahir, are you there?
He's muted at the moment.
Taiba, you can unmute yourself, your co-host.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Aziyaba, he often mutes me anyway, so I can't say much.
No one trustees to say too much.
He's got the controls now anyway. I'll see you back in the masjid, inshallah. Anyway, moving on. This is really inspirational. The way you covered the whole subject matter, a lot to absorb, but nevertheless, some of us are familiar with some of it through our education system when we were, to a degree, brainwashed, when we were fighting, where actually, what did Adam and Eve look like if you follow the evolution process? So obviously, we've learned over a period of time that it's a lot of garbage they were teaching you anyway. But I think one good thing is your organization, which is IRTIS. I've not come across that organization before. Of course, I will look it up. And I'm sure there'll be some talks on there which we can spread amongst our community. But more importantly, I know Blackburn is only just around the corner, so maybe you can pop over one day and have a nice cup of tea with us and do a nice lecture for our congregation, where we can have a gathering of about 200 people. What we can do is, I think, apart from the physical gathering where a lot of people are not on Zoom, not on YouTube, they like to sit in the masjid environment and listen to people, but we can also then attract people on Zoom, YouTube at the same time as well. So I think we need to follow this multifaceted way of embracing our community now, and that's very important. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're very busy. Keep learning, keep educating yourself, and I think the young boys who are listening and the younger audience, you're an inspiration. Should really take a leaf out of your book and say, this is what we need to do. Do the dunya and the akhirah hand in hand. I've come across doctors, I've come across professors, they're hafiz. They didn't stop them getting the education on both sides of the world. So Jazakallah, Sheikh.
Jazakallah khair, Taibai. I have got Brother Abdul Aziz Raja here. He's been working with the Sheikh for a long time, so I'm going to ask him to introduce the Sheikh's organization for a minute. Brother, if you're on the line, you're co-host, you can unmute yourself and you can say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
MashaAllah. So you've heard very enlightening speech by Mufti Amjad Muhammad Sahib, MashaAllah. He's a very good flamboyant speaker. He's established this organization over 15 years ago. And obviously Olive Foundation has been working very hard. They have 2 secondary schools. 32 students have now become Hafiz of the Quran, 36 alimas. It's apparently the busiest Darul Ifta in the world, one of the busiest anyway. Thousands of fatwa have been issued. I myself have asked many dozens, I'm sure. The Elementary Academy for Boys and Men was set up in 2006. I'm just reading off the front page, obviously. I'm sure you've read it, but I'm just kind of repeating myself. 100 students have completed their recitation with a very sound tajweed, mashallah. Also, 32 students have become Hafiz of the Quran last year, leading Taraweeh throughout the UK and abroad. Most are now teachers themselves, alhamdulillah. And become 3 more were due to become Hafiz, but sadly, because of the circumstances, which doesn't help the school either, because obviously no fees are coming in, no income. Alongside the males elementary, Olive School have a girls set up as well in 2007, studying Qaida, Quran, and some students are also becoming Hafiza. Sorry, something happened there. Is okay now?
Yeah, you can continue. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, there was a big crackling sound, so I thought I'd lost communication. So basically, just continuing on, the school was set up since 2006. Schools, 100 students have obviously benefited. The main difficulty, I'm not sure how long I've got time, but I can read on. But thousands of queries have been answered in the Markaz al-Ifta department. Obviously, as other organizations, it's suffering at the moment. There are quite substantial debts. There's about 280,000, I believe, that needs to be raised. 200,000 of Qadhi Hasna, long outstanding Qadhi Hasna that needs to be repaid. 80,000 immediately needed to repay the utility bills and business rates, etc. I can go on. Minimum ideally would like is £15, if possible, £50 to pay towards the utility bills, £100 to go towards Qadhi Hasna, £250 again, go towards Qadi Hasna. Any last few moments of Ramadan left, obviously. And you can reap the reward 70 times more. Mufti Sahib will confirm. What else can I say?
Brother Jazakallah, I'm mindful of the time. I've got a very special guest speaker, our brother. We love him so much. Ajmal Masroor is online as well. So I'm just going to quickly, in 1 minute, I'm going to wrap up. We have two campaigns today. One campaign is we are asking everybody, you give £1 to our campaign, just £1. Okay, so we'll share the page, inshallah. Go to the launchgood.com/Hayes and Angel. I'll share the link with all of you. Just £1. And second request we are making, talk to your friends and family and ask everybody to donate £1. If we manage to get 15, 1600, 1700 people, inshallah, we will win £10,000. So from Hayes Muslim Center, just £1 campaign today. Second campaign is we strongly believe we need to help and to support all the organization, all mosque, all Darul Uloom, all the struggling at this time. So we have to be a helping hand to everybody. So the big request today is to support the Sheikh organization, Olive Foundation, and give whatever you can, inshallah. I'm pledging not to impress, but to show maybe some people get inspired. Inshallah, I'm going to give £100 from my side, inshallah. And I'll encourage everybody, £10, £15, £20. No donation is big or small. So I'm going to ask Brother Ajmal Masroor. Brother Ajmal, you're unmuted. You can continue, inshallah, now.
Unmute here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you all?
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. Great to have you.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, good to
Ramadan
see
Kareem,
you. Good to hear your voice
Ramadan
again.
Kareem and Ramadan Kareem and Eid Mubarak all in one go.
And to you.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters. What can I say? You know, there is a verse of the Qur'an that I was reading this afternoon where Allah says, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and race to seek Allah's forgiveness. My brothers and sisters, where we are right now actually is the end of Ramadan. And if you're doing a marathon race, if you're doing a sprint, if you're doing a race, you would sprint to the end when you see the finishing line. You will not be waiting for somebody else to take you over. It is time for you all, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, to pause for a minute and say, can I race to the end? This masjid, this center, this amazing institution needs our help and support. Can we help them? And I think, brothers and sisters, if you dig deep into your pockets, you can find something. Some spare change of £100, £200, £50, whatever amount you can. Allah will not be asking you whether you gave hundreds of thousands of pounds. The question would be, did you give sincerely for what you could afford? Allah says in the Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You have not truly attained faith unless you give what you love most. Even if you've got £1, give that away for the sake of Allah. Tonight, before Ramadan finishes, this is the last of your chance for Taraweeh or any Qiyam al-Layl for the month of Ramadan would be today and this evening. So my recommendation would be, brothers and sisters, please dig deep and donate. For your donation will go a long way. If anyone who comes to pray here, anyone who benefits from this masjid, anyone who benefits in any way, shape or form, Muslims and non-Muslims, even if an animal was to benefit, Allah Azza wa Jalla will give you reward for sadaqah jariyah. And this we need to keep in mind, brothers and sisters, all the time. And that is, Allah Azza wa Jalla has prepared for all of us ample opportunities to gain reward. Sometimes we are lazy, we're negligent, and we don't really take the opportunity up. So please, go put your hands deep into your pockets and race to the end. Race until we get to the final point. And that would be my strongest recommendation to all our brothers and sisters listening, that you need to give, and you need to give because Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't stop giving you and me. Allah is not stingy of giving. Why should we be stingy of giving? You know, I have been fundraising all my life, for at least for the last 30 years. And every time I've asked people, I've seen people donating. I've never been to a program where I've asked and people haven't given. So today and tonight, I think people will give. It's just a matter of time. We have to be patient, inshallah, and through patience and perseverance, we'll get there. So my brothers and sisters, please give as much as you can. Give all that you can and give, inshallah, for the sake of Allah. Allah will give you much more in return.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ajmal Masroor. I know you've been in a studio and you took this time out, and we really appreciate and we thank you, inshallah, and we're looking forward to invite you again, inshallah, in our session.
Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. We look forward to having you personally there at Hayes Muslim Center.
Looking forward to it, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Allah bless you all.
Jazakallah khair, brother, sister. Okay, brother, sister, I'm just going to share my screen so you can see the information of Mufti Amjad Sahab organization. One thing I would like to say, just a reminder for all of you, how many people you remember they were with us last Ramadan and they're not here this Ramadan. You know, our life, we don't know whether we're going to make it to the next Ramadan or not. This night is the last night of the Ramadan, having opportunity to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reap the reward. I know in my own family, in last 6 weeks, 8 people, they died in my own family. 8 people, they died in my own family, some of my close relatives. Who knows who's going to make it to the next Ramadan? Sometimes you think, oh, you know what? I'm going to give it tomorrow. I'm going to give it 1 week down the line or 6 weeks down the line or next year. Who knows who's going to live tomorrow? Who knows whether we're going to do our iftar tonight or not? Nobody knows. So whether the time and moment which we have now, we're going to use it now. Inshallah, I encourage each one of you, whatever is your capacity. We are not asking you, okay, you know, give everything you have. We are asking you whatever you can. Don't think that any donation is big or small. You can give £1, give £1 with a good intention, inshallah, and make lots of du'as. If you can give £10, £100, £200, whatever you can, inshallah. Sheikh Amjad is here. We know him. I know Wafakul Ulama for a long time. I've been following, I've been working. Muad and some other people, they're a good friend of mine. Last year I was there in their annual general meeting with the Hazrat Sheikh Dr. Lama Khalid Mahmood Sir, Rahimullah alayh. Rahimullah, we were together, inshallah, and we attended this AGM. And Wafakul Ulama is doing a great job, and Sheikh is also part of Wafakul Ulama, Moon Sighting, all different organizations as well, and doing amazing job. The money you're going to put in for the Sheikh, alhamdulillah, is going to go definitely for the great causes. So I encourage everybody, inshallah. I'm going to share my screen. You can see the information. This is the name of the organization, Olive Foundation. You can see the bank account details at the bottom. You can take a screenshot. I'll share this information with everybody as well. And you can go to Launch Good and www.launchgood.com/Olive Foundation. And you can give whatever you can. You can give £5, £10, £15, £20, but make intention today. Before you leave this call today, each and everybody on this call, you must make intention, inshallah. You're going to give something, inshallah, whether it's a £10 or £20 or £100 or £1,000, you're going to give something for this good cause, because tonight is the last night of Ramadan. Tomorrow is going to be the last fasting, inshallah. Make maximum use of this night. And second thing, go to the same website, www.launchgood.com and /Haze and Angel, and just give £1. Our own community, we are just asking, just give £1, inshallah. Help us win this £10,000, you know, the prize tonight. If we hit about 2,000 people giving £1 each, inshallah, we will win. Or if you want to give more, you can give more as well. Inshallah, we're going to keep fundraising. We're going to keep asking our community to help us, to support us. I just want to mention this thing, and I want to take this opportunity to thank our Haze Muslim Center community. Alhamdulillah, last February 2019, we started a campaign when we bought an Angel pub. It was a pub for 100+ years, and we decided, inshallah, we want to buy this place and we want to turn this into the house of Allah. And when we decided, a lot of people, they were not sure what's going to happen. A lot of people, they were not 100% on our side, how are we going to raise 1.6 million. But brothers, sisters, I want you to say Allahu Akbar. Within 12 months, alhamdulillah, we raised the money, 1.6 million, and 99% money is raised by you, local community. We have a 550k qarza. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us to pay this qarza off. We are 100% sure. This situation, pandemic, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with this pandemic, a lot of problems out there, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease everything, but a lot of great things happen in our community. Muslims, they have done some amazing work all over the country. So praises goes to the Muslim community. So take opportunity today, give £1 to Haze Muslim Center. We're going to launchgood.com and give whatever you can to Sheikh's organization, Olive Foundation, inshallah. As I said, inshallah, I'll give £100, and I request each and every one of you, contact us if you need information, inshallah, give whatever you can. Finally, I'm going to request Sheikhs to make dua, inshallah. Our iftar is 3 minutes past 9. So it's 20:58 now. Sheikh Amjad Sahab, if you can make dua, inshallah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accept all that we have done in these days of Ramadan. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accept our fasts. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we went hungry for your sake. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we went thirsty for your sake. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we stood during the night in prayer for your sake, Ya Allah. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, cleanse our intentions to make our intentions sincere, and then accept those deeds from us, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and take these deeds from us, Ya Allah, the sadaqah that we gave, the zakat that we paid. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take this and don't just accept it in that form, but increase it for us, Ya Allah. Increase it for us and put it aside for us. So when the great day, when we meet you, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are astounded at your generosity, because we know your generosity, Ya Allah. Your generosity knows no bounds. Our acts of worship, unfortunately, do have bounds, but your generosity has no bounds, Ya Allah. Accept what little we offer to you, Ya Allah. They're morsels of worship. They have problems in our worship. We lack sincerity, Ya Allah. We do not fulfill the sharait. We do not complete it with true humility and humbleness as we do. Ya Allah, accept all our deeds, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, all those people who are going through difficult times during this month of Ramadan, Ya Allah, give them ease. Ya Allah, give them ease in this life. Ya Allah, give them success in the hereafter. Ameen. Ya Allah, all those people who've lost loved ones, Ya Allah, raise the rank of their loved ones, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, bestow patience and perseverance on those who are in the living and those who have been taken. Ya Allah, honor them, give them a high status, Ya Allah, and give them a high maqam. Ya Allah, as Ramadan is about to leave us, we beseech you, Ya Allah, that this next day or so that we have, Ya Allah, that accept what little we offer in that day to make up for what we haven't done in the days that have already gone. Ya Allah, accept these deeds from us, Ya Allah, and raise us, Ya Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst the Anbiya. Ya Allah, raise us amongst the Siddiqeen. Ya Allah, raise us amongst the Shuhada. Ya Allah, raise us amongst the Salihin. We are not worthy, but your mercy has no bounds. So through your mercy, raise us amongst them. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah Sheikh for joining us. But sister, just a quick announcement. Today we supposed to have these Hajj riders with us. So the Sheikh, the Imam who is leading this team, he had some emergency. He's been called out by NHS, so he couldn't make it today. So inshallah, he's going to join us tomorrow. Possibly we are going to have Sheikh Riazul Haq from Leicester as well tomorrow. Inshallah, he's going to lead the dua in the last few moments when we break over fast. So he is possibly going to join us as well, inshallah. And tomorrow we have brother Rahim Jang as well, inshallah. He's going to join us for 15-20 minutes to talk about, inshallah, spending in this path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, spending for the masjid, and encourage you and inspire you to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, brothers, if anybody who would like to donate for the Sheikh organization, you have my details. I'm going to leave my number in the chat box as well, inshallah. You can contact me, and inshallah, I'll forward you all the details. You can go online, you can transfer via, you can do via bank transfer, and you can contact us and we can make arrangements. And inshallah, I'll pass on our organization detail to Sheikh as well to fill out the form. And inshallah, from our organization side, inshallah, we will contribute something as well, inshallah. Finally, jazakallah khair for joining us. I'm going to invite our young star, Zain. Zain, you got only 1 minute. Yes, the time is up now. You can start your azan. Unmute yourself and give azan, inshallah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salam. Hayya ala salam. حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Zain, Jazakallah khair. I know you always wait for your prize to be announced. Inshallah, when the lockdown is over, you have won a lot of prizes. We'll give you the prizes in the masjid, inshallah. Don't worry. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters, for joining us today. We end our iftar transmission today. I'm going to leave the screen on for next couple of minutes. Inshallah, if you want to take the details of Sheikh organization, you can do. And Sheikh's organization YouTube channel is also available. I'll share the link for the YouTube channel as well. Jazakallah khair for joining us. Go, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And welcome to our institute, the Olive Foundation, Darul Uloom Zaytuniyah here in Bradford. Just to give you a short history, we started way back in around 2004, 2005, and we started in a rented accommodation, 4 or 5 rooms, 6 rooms, a large detached property with about 40 pupils and about 5 teachers. It was a boys' school originally, but within a few weeks and months, we had applications for a girls' school. So eventually, we needed to start a girls' school, and we ended up in these premises here, which you've probably seen the clips of, as is being discussed. And we bought this, and when we bought it originally, we had to borrow a lot of Qarda Hasana in order to buy it. Once we bought it, obviously, the building we bought was in a serious level of disrepair, and then we had to borrow more money in order to bring this building up to standards. We now have at this building 2 schools, Olive Secondary Boys School, Olive Secondary Girls Schools. We have 2 elementary academies in which we teach both Qaida, Nazira and Hifz class. And also now we have the higher academy in which we teach the Alamiyah, which is the 8-year course of the full Alim course. We have had, alhamdulillah, over the years, 30 odd students becoming Hafiz of Qur'an, who are now leading Taraweeh up and down the country and outside of the country. And we also have 30 odd graduates who themselves are now teachers and doing other work of deen, alhamdulillah. But with that, we haven't just stopped at education. Alhamdulillah, we've also got a Darul Iftar downstairs, which you would have again seen maybe a clip of, Markazul Iftar wal Qada, which is internationally recognized, alhamdulillah, and deals with not only the day-to-day affairs of the public, but also public bodies and commercial institutes. And similarly, we have a research center, which is the Institute for the Revival of Traditional Islamic Sciences, in which we carry out thorough research on various topics. And I advise you to go onto the website to have a look at what we've done. We have obviously grown and grown and grown, and now we've grown because the need of the community is there to provide for the community. So we want to continue to provide for the community. But as you can see with the building, which was built in 1905, a few years older than me, is a building which genuinely runs into disrepair. So maintaining a building of this size is expensive, especially being a grade 2 listed building in which we have to ensure that the same materials are used when we're replacing old material, which can be very expensive. Similarly, we have still got outstanding cards left, some going back nearly 10-15 years when we were first brought about, which we really need to give back. People have been asking for it last year and the year before, and unfortunately we've not been in a position to pay it. So in total it's a big grand sum of around £280,000. However, our immediate needs are in the region of, I think, 30 to 40,000. But any can help. You can, any amount of money that's given will assist us in continuing to provide this service, because apart from the educational services we provide, all the other services are provided for free, and helping people in difficult circumstances to overcome their issues and be able to live their lives according to Islam. So assist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. You will benefit the community not only in Bradford but in the UK and beyond, and also it will be your sadaqatul jariyah in which you will continue to get ajr either for yourself or for a deceased loved one that you can give for, so that they continue to get the reward as we continue to do our work. Jazakumullah khairan for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Today could be the last day of Ramadan. Please donate just £1 to our Hayes Muslim Centre and help us win a boost of £10,000 from Launch Good for the Ramadan challenge. And don't forget to tell your friends and family to do the same.